Yes, sir.
Governor McMaster, Lieutenant Governor Evett, Hampton Park Christian School is honored to welcome you to our campus today. Governor, we've been praying for school choice legislation in South Carolina for many years now. Families who choose to send their children to independent schools do so because they believe it will provide a better future for their children. Independent schools offer quality academic programs, small classroom sizes, safe campuses, and a caring atmosphere. Our mission is to partner with parents. We listen to them. In response to the wishes of our parents, we made the decision several weeks ago to carefully and safely reopen 5 days a week for in-person schooling this fall. But the choice to send their children to an independent school is difficult for many families and impossible for others because they pay twice for education, once through tax dollars and again through tuition. Some parents work multiple jobs, many sacrifice, and unfortunately some just can't afford a private education for their children. The COVID-19 pandemic has been especially hard on many of these families. So on behalf of Hampton Park families and all South Carolina families who choose private education for their children, thank you for thinking of us and helping make it possible.
Video. Thank you, Dr. Kevin Priest. We're all very happy to be here. This is a great school. As we were driving up, I'd never been here before. I know most of everybody else here has been. And I understand, Leona, this is where you grew up?
Yeah.
Right here.
Bad now.
That's right. But this is, education is the most important thing we do in South Carolina or anywhere else. If we can't educate the children and educate them well, then we've failed in our duty to the state, the country, the next generation. All of us on this stage and most of us standing in a few years, 20, 30, maybe 40, we hope, we'll be turning over the reins to these young people. And I remember Senator Glenn Reese, who was still in the Senate, commented one time when we were recognizing some young students who had excelled. I think they were in the 3rd and 4th grade or something like that. They were in the Senate. I was presiding as lieutenant governor. And he made a little joke, but there's some seriousness to it. He said, when I was a teacher, if I'd known all those children would grow up to be adults, I'd have worked a little harder to try to teach them something. So we are fortunate to have so many great people in our state. The business leaders around the world that I talk to say that they come to South Carolina to invest hundreds of millions and billions of dollars for three reasons: the people, the people, the people. They say the people of South Carolina are different from any other that they know of in the world. And there are a lot of reasons for that we won't go into now, but you know we've got a long history of ups and downs, and we have survived and we've prospered. And it all depends at this point in our lives, it depends on educating these children. We must do it. We must find a way to give them the best education, understanding, the best preparation for the future that we possibly can. And we have a public school system, we have a private and independent school system, but we must see that there are schools available to educate the children the best way that they learn, the best way that we can, and ways to give the parents confidence. And what you see happening today with this Safe Access to Flexible Education grant program, which is a new program based on funds that we receive from the federal government, which, by the way, is your tax money coming back to us. For this, it's at the governor's discretion around the country, and we decided to put approximately $32 million into this program for scholarships or grants one time to the students. It will go to the schools of those parents who fall below a certain level of income. It's up to 3 times the poverty level. For a family of 4, that's about $78,000. And of course, it goes down from there. But there are a lot of people who would like to come to this school and others like it that simply can't afford to do it. And because of the coronavirus, there are a lot that have been going and a lot that would like to join into this school, or others that can't afford it. There are a lot of people, families working 2 and 3 jobs in order to send their children to school. And as Dr. Priest mentioned, they're already paying taxes to support those public schools. So this is a way that we can support this private school and the independent schools and see to it that we are educating these children. Now, the inspiration, the leadership on this is widespread, and those leaders that are here with us today are those in the legislature that have been primarily the leaders in this effort, and I'd like to recognize them. There's Senator Dwight Loftus, who was recently in the House, but now in the Senate. Representative Leola Robinson Simpson, whom I mentioned, lived right here, born, raised right here. Representative Jason Elliott, Representative Mark Willis, Representative Gary Smith, Representative Shannon Erickson, and Representative Patrick Hayden. I don't think I left anybody out. This is your Lieutenant Governor, as you know, Pamela Evitt. She will speak in a moment. But ladies and gentlemen, this is again, as I finish, this is a great program. It will open a lot of doors, it will satisfy a lot of needs, and it will help educate a lot of children. We know that about the 2020 enrollment for our private and independent schools is estimated to decline by 10 to 20% because of the coronavirus. The parents just can't afford it. There are about 50,000 children in our private and independent schools, and again, a lot of them in even the best economy are barely able to make ends meet, and the virus has made it even more difficult, if not impossible. These are one-time need-based grants of up to $6,500 to help pay for the education of these children. This will fund, we think, approximately 5,000 grants, maybe a few more. But that is the purpose of this. And again, as I close, I say again, if we don't have a strong education system for all of our children, then we will never achieve the great prosperity that we have possible. Because remember, the people around the world, business leaders looking to invest that money, they're looking at South Carolina. And there are reasons for that. And I mentioned it's the people. Mark Clark was a general in World War II, a 3-star general, I think he's 3-star, later president of the Citadel. He said, the people of South Carolina, in the people of South Carolina, there's more patriotism than any place else in the world. Patriotism means loyalty, means dedication, means standing by your friends, means educating your children. So as we stand together, we want to have the best public schools, the best private schools, the best education in the entire country. Because if we don't, then these children, who are the people that have been recognized around the world as being where people want to be, they want to work with these people. We have to get them ready for this great prosperity that can be ours. And not only can we, I believe, set an example for the country, but also for the world. And I thank you. And thank all of you.
Thank you so much, Governor McMaster. It's an honor to be with you today. My name is Ellen Weaver, and I'm the president and CEO of Palmetto Promise Institute, and it's been a real honor to work with you and your team on this exciting program that will expand education horizons for thousands of children across the state of South Carolina. In announcing SAFE Grants, which incidentally is the largest new education choice program in the country this year, you have cast a bold vision for what the future of South Carolina education can be. It's not just abstract. Today is about real needs, real students, and real help. So thank you for having the courage to step up and lead, to seize the difficult COVID moment to innovate on behalf of the students in our state who are at the greatest risk of being left behind. Today we celebrate a reimagination of what education can be in South Carolina, not just a system of buildings and buses, but an ever-expanding series of options that meet the needs of students where they are and grow them into the fullest potential of what they were meant to be. There are three key ideas that make SAFE Grants especially powerful. The first is that they are targeted. They are for students and families who are at greatest risk of education and economic hardships. Secondly, they're accountable. They harness technology-based financial transparency, and they require real measurements of what students are learning. And thirdly, they are responsible. We owe the children of this state the hope and opportunity of a great education. Keeping them in a school they love or giving them the chance to get into a school that better meets their needs meets our responsibility to them as a state. We also owe parents peace of mind about their children's learning. Many parents, as has been mentioned, make huge sacrifices, in essence paying twice, to put their child in the education environment that's right for them. This meets our responsibility to those parents for fairness. And thirdly, we owe South Carolina taxpayers a robust return on the over $10 billion of investment that we make in K-12 public education every year as a state. This $32 million program is a drop in the bucket of our total education spending, but it means real hope for the lives that it touches. And that's not to say that this fiscally responsible program is insignificant by any means. We know that a small rudder turns a big ship. And that's exactly what we've seen in Florida, where now well over 150,000 low-income and children with special needs, roughly 5% of Florida's student population, are served by some sort of education choice program or grant just like the one that we are announcing today. And the results have been undeniable. Florida has seen dramatic education improvement in the last 2 decades, not just for choice students, but for their peers who remained in public schools. In 1998, Florida's students lagged behind South Carolina's, and now, sadly, it's exactly the reverse. But starting today, we can change that. It's an honor to stand here with you, Governor, with our state and school leaders, but most of all, I'm humbled and grateful to see the faces of the real students and families that this program will serve. When South Carolina history books are written, I believe they will say this day was a moment that South Carolina opened a new door of hope and opportunity for the students in our state who need it most. Thank you for calling on Palmetto Promise to be a part of this amazing journey, and I know we're just getting started. Thank you.
As Ellen said, we're privileged to have some of our families with us today. I'd like to recognize Mrs. Michelle Gant with her 3 boys. I think they've all grown about a foot this summer. Michelle, boys, why don't you come on up and say a few words. They're one of our Hampton Park family, so we're excited that they could join us today.
Thank you. We're happy to be here, and we greatly appreciate everything that you've done, McMasters, to keep our South Carolina reopening and what you've done for our school system. We love Hampton Park. Don't know where my boys would be without it, actually, over the past several years. They've been here since first grade, and we work multiple jobs to keep it happening every year, but the school's been gracious to work with us, and my boys obviously have grown in this education up, not just smarter, but we appreciate all you've done and for the education. Thank you.
We're also privileged to have the Hudson family with us from Anderson. Their children attend St. Joseph's there. I believe Natalie's going to come and say a few words.
First off, thank you, Governor, for everything that you're doing. My children do go to St. Joseph in Anderson. This will be their third year there. My husband and I, he is in the Army, he's in the reserves, and we have definitely battled working 2 jobs and sometimes even doing more to keep them there. And now, thanks to this program, we'll be able to keep them there again this year. So thank you very much.
And then finally, I'm privileged to recognize Reverend Doug Slaughter from Second Baptist Prep down in Aiken. Pastor, come on up.
Governor, thank you. When I look in the dictionary at the word education, somewhere in brackets you see the word hope. Education brings hope to so many people. And one of the difficulties that many of the people that I work with have is trying to afford the education that they so deserve, particularly when they need a different atmosphere and a different climate, and teachers who can do things that other teachers may not be able to do. I asked Eli to come up here with me because Eli is an amazing kid. He started out in our school like so many others who want to, are not able to because of finances. This grant makes it possible for us to do what we love to do, and that is to give hope to young people. Thank you, Governor.
I will now recognize Lieutenant Governor Evett.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Governor, fellow colleagues behind me, and all of you for coming today. I'm proud to be here as your Lieutenant Governor, but I'm even prouder to be here as a mom of 3 uniquely different children who learned differently. And I think parents need the power to make the choice. I've been proud since I've been Lieutenant Governor, along with the governor, to stand for school choice here in our state. You know, nobody loves their children more than their parent. And nobody is better qualified to make decisions about education than the parent of every single child. So, Governor, thank you. I have been flooded with numerous calls over the last week from parents who are beside themselves, not knowing how they would get their children to a learning institution that would have in-face learning once the school year started, because they knew virtual wasn't for them. Governor, you have opened a world of opportunity for parents who may not have been able to make that choice. The parents that know their children and know the needs of their children better than anybody. So I want to thank you to all the independent schools who are doing everything that they're doing for their children. And thank you again, Governor, for everything you're doing to make sure South Carolina stands strong for education and stands strong for choice.
Now we'll be glad to try to answer your questions if you have any. That is, questions from the press. Yes, ma'am.
I saw where it said eligible schools. Can you talk to us about what makes them eligible? Does that include wearing masks, that kind of thing?
That will, the eligible depends on the allocation of funds, and we are hiring a manager to do that, to work with the Department of Administration. And we expect that there'll be a lot of parents that will want to participate in this. The money, of course, will go to the schools. We don't have the plan definite at this point about exactly how that will work, But that is an economic, it's a financial question.
So not safety conditions?
Well, it doesn't depend on that. The safety, those are the things that are being addressed all across the state by everybody in every schools, businesses, churches, everything. Yes, ma'am.
Could the principal of the school talk about how they're prepared to open for 5 days a week to students in person, since that's obviously a big debate right now among teachers and educators?
Sure, I'm happy to direct folks to our website, hamptonpark.school. You'll see at the very top of the opening page there, our COVID-19 preparations. You'll see some town hall videos that we've done, and you'll see an FAQ that goes into great detail. There are all sorts of things that we're doing, everything from cohorting to vastly increased disinfecting of surfaces, keeping distance between our students and staff, many, many other things. So I'll point you there.
How many students go to the school?
Well, we've got around 400 students right now. That's changing daily, but around 400.
More questions? Yes, sir.
Governor, just to clear up in my mind too, is this also intended for students who might now be enrolled in public schools and maybe?
It's open for anyone who chooses to apply, but it also is open to students that are already in these schools. It's wide open, and it'll be managed, as I mentioned a moment ago, it'll be managed professionally. More questions?
Will they have to stay open 5 days a week to receive the funding?
That it's not dependent on that, but of course, as you know, what our position is that the schools need to be open 5 days a week, and what we have urged all the school districts to do is to give parents that choice. We understand all the teachers will be in school 5 days a week, and so we'd like the students that want to be there, the parents that want to be there, to have that option. Now, those that want to have distance learning at home, they can have that option as well as some hybrid plan. But the parents that want their children to go to 5 days face-to-face in the school system, public and private, need to have that option, and that's what we're standing for.
So just to follow up, it's not a condition for the private schools?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Further questions? Yes, ma'am.
And this is open to basically all private schools in the state, regardless of whether they receive PPP or school from CARES Act?
Yes, ma'am. It is open to all private, independent schools, private and or independent schools, which essentially is the same thing, by a different name in the state. That's correct. Are there any more questions?
Governor, this is a rather large pot of money that we're spending on these school choice tuition scholarships. Why did you decide on $32 million and not split that between other schools?
Well, we have some other obligations for that money as well, but $32 million is a lot of money, and we think it'll make a big difference. Yes, sir.
Governor, how are the scholarships being distributed, or who's being chosen, how's it being chosen, and any criteria?
That's what I mentioned a moment ago. We have hiring a professional manager and these kind of things to work with our Department of Administration to see that it is done properly.
I see on here it says 2,500 scholarships on a first-come, first-served basis. Is that after that 2,500? Is it just going to be a lottery, or how?
That will be all up to a plan that will be developed by the manager and the Department of Administration to see that it's done properly. Yes, ma'am.
This is obviously a one-time pot. Do you expect
Yes,
the
ma'am.
legislature to maybe fill? Are you hoping that the legislature will fill this in future years?
That would be delightful if they would do that. Of course, we don't know what the budget is going to hold. This is CARES Act money that has come to the different governors. Our allocation was $48 million, and we're putting 32 of that into this, which I think is more than any other state has done. I think there's only one other state, Oklahoma, that put $10 million into their program. But we're hoping that this will serve as a good example. What it does is it addresses the questions and the aspirations of the legislators and leaders here, education leaders, have had for years, to see to it that our children, wherever they go to school, they can go where they want to go and get the best education possible. Yes, sir.
You mentioned for a lot of these schools, they tend to keep tuition tuition pretty low to just make sure that it is affordable for families. How much would this also help a lot of the schools that this could apply to? Could you kind of take us through and how it might help them as well?
I don't understand your question. Say it again.
Well, basically just that you, from the tuition standpoint, it's not, a lot of times it's more of a scraping kind of, a lot of the schools are operating already with a lot of other expenditures, and the tuition is not necessarily high for a lot of them. Having this, how would that affect?
Well, it affects these families that you see here today and thousands of others just like them. There are a lot of families that would like to have the choice to send their children to one of these other schools, a private or independent school, who just cannot make the ends meet. And there's some that are in these schools now that are working, they're struggling to make those ends meet. And because of the virus, they're going to have even greater difficulty, if not impossible. So that's what this addresses. We want all the children in South Carolina, wherever they live, whatever their circumstances, to be able to get the best education in the United States. That's our goal. And I think this is one step in that direction.
This comes out to about $6,400 per student. Is that, well, that's an average. Do you see a cap on this, or how does it?
Yes, that is the cap, but that doesn't mean that every student will receive that allocation. That is part of the management by the professional manager, and the department administration will work out.
Mr. Governor?
Yes, sir.
This is a question for you as the head of state, and also maybe for some representative from the private school system. My question is, what happens next year when the families that are taking advantage of this program this year can no longer afford?
We're going to do the best we can, but this is a major step. It's a good step. We hope this will open the doors to some ideas that have been promoted by these legislators and others who've led the way, I think probably in the United States, as well as our education and policy leaders. We hope that this will show the feasibility and productivity of this kind of a system.
On a national scale, we talk about falsely inflating the economy with stimulus package or whatnot. That was kind of my concern. For the private school system is, are we falsely inflating their enrollment?
Like I say, well, we weigh a doubt against a certainty. We don't know what we will get in the future, but we know what we have now. That's certain. We have it, and we go spend it in the right place, and this is it.
Governor,
Ma'am.
there's certainly going to be critics who feel like this is reactionary to last week's announcement when various superintendents pushed back about the 5-day-a-week in-person schedule. What is your response to that?
Well, this is something that has been, as I mentioned earlier, that these legislators and other leaders have been promoting for a number of years and have actually introduced legislation that has not yet passed. We're hoping that it will pass. But we've got to make progress every day, no matter what the critics, there are always critics about everything that anyone in government does, as well as reporters. But we persevere and we continue, and we're determined that the children of South Carolina get the best education in the whole country. And we want to, one way to do that is have their parents make the choice of where they go to school and how they go to school.
But some of the harshest criticism was from the Greenville County school system, and here we are in Greenville. There are 3 schools represented on the stage today. Why today here in Greenville?
Because this is a beautiful day. Greenville is a beautiful place. We were invited here. We can't be everywhere, but here we are, and we're glad to be here, and we look forward to coming back. And we thank you very much for coming. Thank you. Good job. Good job, Governor. Good job. Don't go step. Keep it up.